We want one big, beautiful bill.
One big, beautiful bill. The American economy will boom after this bill is passed and the rest of the president's pro-growth agenda goes into effect.
Congressional Republicans just passed a bill that is the largest transfer of wealth from low-income Americans to the wealthiest Americans ever in the history of the United States. This is what Trump calls the one big, beautiful bill. It is a disastrous bill.
The only people that are mad about the big, beautiful bill getting passed is the ones that are lazy as fuck and been living off government assistance this whole time. Your time is up. It's time to go get you a job, whether it's part-time or full-time, bitch, and go to work like the rest of us always do. You don't get to sit on your ass at home anymore and collect $800 in food stamps and get Section 8 housing and fucking all this other free shit. No, not no more. Unless you have income, then you can't get shit. Y'all really mad about that? How are you mad because Trump is making these lazy fuckers actually go to work? Make it make sense. Y'all always gotta bitch about something, complain about something. Oh, he's taking Medicare away. No, it's just for the illegals that were getting it.
The only reason poor MAGAs are okay with the big, beautiful bill passing is because they think other people will suffer more. They know they're gonna have to take a hit and endure some pain. But as long as the people they hate are suffering just a little bit more, they're willing to do it. Keep this in mind as you continue to talk with them after this bill passes.
Right, so the big, beautiful bill was passed, and a lot of people are excited because that includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. That's wonderful. It's great for the American people. However, there's Democrats out there saying that it includes cuts in Medicaid and SNAP benefits. And unfortunately, a lot of people are believing that. You could say that there are cuts. They're cutting the illegal immigrants from receiving those benefits. So taxpayers no longer have to pay for the benefits of illegal immigrants, which they shouldn't have been doing all along.
And it begins. A rural hospital in Nebraska closed, citing the upcoming bill that's going to cut health care for millions. And guess who won Nebraska in the 2024 election? Trump. So it's already hurting his supporters.
This is how it went.
Why are you voting for Trump for? Because I'm fucking tired of being broke.
And this is how it's going.
I've been fucking pumped for this no tax on overtime. I've been fucking ecstatic, dude. I know America's been waiting on this shit. Everybody's been bragging. Man, I can't wait. I'm gonna have so much extra money. It's gonna, bring in so much more money per month. Wrong, motherfuckers. Wrong. I did the fine print looking. It is not fucking gonna help us month to month. It's not gonna help you check none. They're still gonna tax the fuck out of your goddamn check.
Buddy, you voted for the man who lied over 33,000 times while in his first term, has conned people his whole entire life, and you yourself expected not to get lied to and conned?
You know why we voted for Donald Trump? Because the middle class man finally thought he was going to get ahead in life. You said no taxes on overtime. Big, bold, beautiful letters. We thought, hell yeah, why would we not vote for that? Then you turn around and pass the bill and it's a crock of shit. It's a tax credit for the people that make a certain amount of money. Of course, when you put it in big, bold, beautiful letters, it looks great. We're going to vote for you. And you knew what you were doing. You were baiting people in saying, no taxes on overtime. You didn't give no fucking details. Your details that we read ain't worth a flying fuck. That bill, and I think Donald Trump's going to be great for the economy. It's only been 7 months. Give the man a chance. I get it. But the first fucking bill wasn't worth a shit. A lot of shit went wrong in that bill because we were misled. And you say, well, no, we were misled because a lot of people go off what Donald Trump says. We're not going to go read the shit. We're going to go off what he says. He needs to be more transparent with us whenever he talks about major life-changing topics like no taxes on overtime, no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security for the elderly people. Instead, there were stipulations on all of it. The transparency was a fucking zero. The bill is a fucking zero. Still gotta hope it's only been 7 months, but fuck.
Hey friends, welcome back. Yeah, I know, it's been a minute since my last upload. I had a couple of videos lined up, but let's just say the free speech landscape lately feels like walking barefoot on a floor full of Legos. One wrong step and, well, you get the picture. So I hit the pause button, did a little recalibration, and maybe a bit too much coffee drinking. But I'm back, And today, we're diving into the one big, beautiful bill that officially became law on July 4th, 2025. MAGA called it historic. They promised it would put more money in the pockets of waiters, truckers, bartenders, basically the backbone of America. And the headlines made it sound like a working-class revolution. Tax cuts on tips, breaks on overtime, bigger paychecks for everyday folks. Sounds great, right? But when you actually look at the fine print, the story's a whole lot different. The crumbs went to the workers, while the feast went to corporations and high earners. The benefits for everyday people? Temporary, small, and already set to expire. Meanwhile, the bill adds trillions to the deficit, a tab that future working-class families will be asked to pay. So grab your mug, preferably filled with something stronger than tap water, because today we're pulling back the curtain on what this bill really does. And spoiler, it's not the fairy tale MAGA promised.
The bill is unbelievable. In fact, we really don't need any other votes because we have everything in that. That's why it's a great, big, beautiful bill. What we really have is something that I don't think any country has ever had. We're going to have over 17 trillion, and that number is going to go much higher than that, invested in our country, and is being invested right now as we speak. And we will deliver no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Let's start with the sales pitch. Trump and MAGA leaders rolled out the one big beautiful bill like it was the crown jewel of his second presidency. They promised working families bigger paychecks, more breathing room, and relief for people who've been struggling just to get by. One of the loudest talking points, taxes on tips and overtime. MAGA went all in on this, presenting it like a gift to waiters, bartenders, retail workers, and truckers pulling long shifts. It sounded good. Who doesn't like the idea of keeping more of their paycheck?
This is what we voted for, and it just passed. Trump's big, beautiful bill just passed. I don't care what the media says. This is exactly what we've been fighting for. Tax cuts made permanent. No more income tax on your tips. Overtime? They're deductible. Families, seniors, small businesses, all finally getting relief instead of being punished for working. And yes, it makes cuts too. Medicaid, food stamps, all of it. Tightened up with work requirements. You know what? Because if we're going to spend, it better be on defense, border security, and American strength, not endless handouts. Now, the critics are already screaming about the debt. But where were they when Biden added $6 trillion in 2 years? I mean, at least this spending fights for America instead of, funding chaos overseas or bloating government payrolls. This is the first real conservative budget that we've seen in years. And it took Trump again to get it done. So don't let him spin this as cruelty. This is what accountability looks like. What part of this bill are they really afraid of? The tax cuts or the work requirements?
What's your favorite policy of Donald Trump?
Big Beautiful Bill was really good. No tax on tips. I work in the service industry. That was huge. So I really like that.
So you're going to be rich after
Yep.
Okay, cool. Don't forget, you owe me money. Okay?
Oh, yeah, I do, unfortunately.
So what about all the Democrats will say the Big Beautiful Bill only helps the 1% and not the middle class? You would disagree with them?
Yes, I would. I don't know where they're coming from with that. I really don't think that's a valid argument in the sense that I feel like 1% workers aren't really in the service industry. Me and my family, we're not 1%. We're in the service industry. We're not making millions, and the Big Beautiful Bill is helping us. So I just think I don't know.
In their defense, I know they didn't read the bill, but most people at Washington did not read the bill either.
Yep, they did
but
not.
At least MAGA knows how to read,
Yep,
right?
we do.
All right, tell us where your channel is, or do you have a channel?
I don't have a channel.
Okay.
I'm joining the FSU the student action thing.
Okay.
So I would recommend
FSU student action thing.
Yes, for TPUSA.
Okay. Awesome.
With Charlie Kirk, yes.
But here's the thing. Trump's real attitude toward overtime has never been a secret. There's a clip, and I'll show you, where he flat out admits he hates paying overtime. Not it's complicated, not maybe it needs reform. He hates it. So the idea that he suddenly cared about protecting workers who rely on overtime, that's like believing a landlord who raises your rent every year is losing sleep about your grocery bill.
And it's going to lead to great things. A lot of people don't give. I know a lot about overtime. I'd hated to give overtime.
I hated it. I'd get other people, I shouldn't say this, but I'd get other people in, I wouldn't pay. I hated it.
When Trump said this,
We will end all taxes on overtime. You know what that means?
what I think he really meant was there would be no point in taxing overtime since Project 2025 wants to basically eliminate it. So weird, I don't hear the applause now. A lot of people in this country count on overtime. Without it, they couldn't survive with their hourly salary. But Project 2025 hopes to make overtime pay available to fewer workers. So instead of getting overtime for working more than 40 hours a week, employees would only qualify if they worked more than 80 hours over 2 weeks. So if you worked 50 hours one week and 25 the next, you wouldn't be eligible for overtime. In true Trump fashion, he didn't really outline how eliminating taxes on overtime would work. But if we look at his record, it's clear why even one of Trump's economic advisors, Stephen Moore, said this announcement came as a surprise to him. The former chief economist at the Department of Labor said that Trump's overtime proposal would only benefit a specific group. Yep, you guessed it, well-paid Americans. The former chief economist at the Department of Labor told CBS News to allow their salaried overtime exempt workers to get the tax cut, employers could easily switch them to hourly, which would potentially lead to CEOs earning $4,000 an hour and an additional $6 million in overtime. Trump is trying to sway those of us who are affording our rent because of overtime. But I've read, but honestly scanned, Project 2025, and let me tell you, it has one very clear goal: ensure the top 1% never lose their wealth.
And this is where the hype meets the hustle. Because those tip and overtime provisions, the ones MAGA waved around like trophies, were never the centerpiece of this bill. They were bait, a shiny distraction to get working class voters on board while the bulk of the benefits were locked in elsewhere. Here's the math. The bill permanently doubled the standard deduction, gave a bump to the child tax credit, and raised the cap on state and local tax deductions, but only for households making under $500,000 a year, and that bump reverts after 5 years. Meanwhile, the corporate cuts? Permanent. High income breaks? Locked in. According to early budget projections, the top earners are walking away with thousands, in some cases tens of thousands, in savings every single year. Meanwhile, the average middle-class household might see a few $100. And those cuts, they expire. By the end of the decade, most of those reliefs will be gone, while the corporate perks keep rolling. And here's the kicker. MAGA supporters didn't just celebrate the crumbs, they fought for them. They made the tip and overtime promises the rallying cry, without ever realizing they were being used as cover.
The new bill mostly helps rich people, but it also helps poor people too, right? Yeah, of course, you guys will get no more taxes on like tips or overtime work. All right, that's pretty cool. Yeah, well, you know, for now, until it expires, obviously. Oh, when does it expire? 2028. Why 2028? Because the elections. You know, if you want to keep all these benefits that we've been so kind to give you, then you got to vote for us. You know, you got to keep us in office. Okay, so regardless of whether it helps rich or poor people more, you know, it's going to expire anyway, so it doesn't really... Well, they're not all going to expire, you know, just the ones for the poors. The benefits for the rich aren't going to expire? No. Why? What's the explanation for that? Well, you know, I mean, illegal immigrants.
So yes, people cheered like this was a working class revolution. But in reality, it was crumbs for the workers, a feast for the wealthy, and a bill that added trillions to the deficit. The kind of deficit politicians will later use as an excuse to slash the very programs those same workers rely on. The hype was never about helping the average American. It was about selling the illusion of help, while the real payday went elsewhere. And MAGA, once again, didn't read the fine print. You know what? Before I break this all down, let's take a quick listen to how some MAGA folks reacted when this bill first passed. You'll hear the confidence, the cheers, even people saying they trusted Trump because, quote, he's always been transparent.
You guys are waking up to a beautiful Thursday morning. Why? Because our President Trump, 47, big, beautiful bill has just passed the House. The House of Representatives erupts in cheers and applause as they pass President Trump's big, beautiful bill. This is the key things that you guys need to know. This bill allows no tax on tips or overtime, $175 billion for deportation and the wall, and tax relief for seniors. But what makes this big, beautiful bill is that it makes President Trump's 2017 tax cuts permanent. Okay. What you also need to know, the truth about this one big beautiful bill, is that people who are making between 30 and 80,000 get a 15% tax cut. Furthermore, helping the American people. Now, this prioritizes American people. Not only that, it cuts waste, fraud, and abuse that the Democratic Party has allowed for so many years.
You guys, the House just released a 389-page draft of the big, beautiful bill that you all said wouldn't happen. The bill that you said ain't no way Trump gonna put no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. Ain't no way Trump gonna do what he said he gonna do. Well, baby. Looks like promises made, promises kept. Yes, this is just a draft. It is in the House. It will be passed. And y'all gonna put some respect on my president name, okay? Get out my face. MAGA all day.
It is official. Donald Trump's one big beautiful bill is passed into law today. What's in that bill is this: border security and immigration, infrastructure investments, energy and oil production, tax cuts and economic policies, crime and law enforcement, education reform, military and veterans, China and trade, ELECTION integrity, social media and free speech. Yes, it was by a landslide, but it doesn't matter. The thing is this: Trump is making big progress. Within what, 6 months? Why couldn't anybody else do this? There's a lot of people out there that have an issue with what Donald Trump's doing, but it's for the good. Everybody else did it for them and their pockets. Donald Trump's doing right by the American people.
You know, as I sit in my car and I'm in awe and I'm in glee about this one big beautiful bill that has passed, that Congress has passed today. It makes me, it kind of reminds myself the reason why I voted for Trump in the first place back in 2024. What sold me was that Trump, when he was running his campaign, Trump has always been transparent. Trump has always been about policy.
It's like watching people celebrate a lottery win before they've even scratched the ticket. And that whole transparent line, please. The only thing transparent here was how quickly billionaires could see straight through the fine print and snatch their payday. But now that we've heard their side of the hype, let's actually talk about what this bill did, and more importantly, who really benefited.
Do you make over $700,000 a year? No? Do you have $7 million in your bank account? No again? This big, beautiful bill is going to fuck you. You are not going to get the benefits of this bill. It is going to cut the taxes of the wealthy and make you fucking poor. It's going to give Trump more power over the judiciary as well. We're basically going to be living in an oligarchy. So if you think things are bad right now, get ready for how bad it's about to get.
Now, if you remember one thing from what I'm saying today, remember what's on this chart, because we've talked a lot about how it helps the rich, hurts the poor. Let's just put some numbers around that. If you're in the top 20% of the country, you're going to get an average $6,000 benefit. These green arrows are what you get from tax cuts. The red arrows, what you lose from some of the spending cuts. But these people at the very top are going to get a 2.3% increase in their after-tax income and benefits and what they get from the government, essentially. If you go down here to the bottom 20%, what do you see? These people are actually going to be worse off. They get a very small tax cut, but it is completely, wildly offset. But what they lose from Medicaid cuts, from food stamp cuts, from other cuts, and so they end up actually $560 worse off, minus 2.3%. And again, I would say in 50 years of watching economic policy, I have never seen a package that was so regressive, that did so much to take money from the poor, give it to the rich, and take it away from the poor. This is unprecedented in our history. It is the most amazing piece of social legislation in the wrong direction that we have ever seen.
This is a message to all the MAGA fans out there. I hope you're watching Trump's big, beautiful bill he's trying to force through Congress, because if you're earning less than $15,000 a year, your taxes are about to go up 70%. under this bill. If you're earning between $15,000 and $30,000 a year, your taxes are going to go up 20%. Understand this, okay, just in general. The GOP, the Republican Party, is on the side of the rich. They always have been. If you're making less than $1 million a year in income, or you have a less than $5 million net worth, the GOP is not on your side. I used to be in the Bush administration. I know tons of these people. They do not care about the little guy. Read the fine print and vote accordingly.
On paper, yes. There were some sweeteners for the middle class. The standard deduction was doubled, the child tax credit got a temporary bump, and they dangled the whole tax cuts on tips and overtime line like candy. That's what got supporters clapping the loudest. But here's the fine print. Those perks are set to expire in just a few years. They're the kind of political promises that sound amazing on a bumper sticker, but quietly shrink when you actually check your paycheck. Meanwhile, the real payday went elsewhere. Corporate tax cuts, permanent. High income breaks, locked in. According to nonpartisan budget projections, households making under $50,000 a year saw maybe a few $100 in relief, and that fades quickly. But households making $500,000 or more, they got thousands every single year. And large corporations, billions, locked in permanently. And that's the kicker. MAGA voters celebrated the crumbs while billionaires feasted. It's like being at Thanksgiving, clapping for your single bread roll while the guy at the head of the table carves up the turkey, the ham, and the dessert tray. This wasn't a working class rescue. It was a classic shell game. Use tax-free tips as the shiny distraction, while funneling the real money up the ladder. And now, years down the line, it will be the working families who are left wondering why their bills still pile up, while the folks at the top buy their second yacht. When it comes to MAGA voters, one of the biggest problems is this. They either don't really listen to what's being said, or they only tune into curated news that reinforces what they already want to believe. It's like a belief system stuck on autopilot. No room for critical thinking, just reruns of the same talking points. It's kind of like ordering the same bad cup of coffee every morning, then convincing yourself it tastes amazing because the barista keeps telling you it's Patriot brew. Listen to this.
You said you never watched the news before. Where do you get your news now?
I watch Fox News, Newsmax. I refuse to watch other stations. I never voted in my life. But, you know, it's like, I think he's waking up America, and America's starting to realize, you know, we don't have free and fair elections. We're not being, the Justice Department ain't blind. You know, it's like they're indoctrinating our children.
Do you guys, do you watch Fox News?
Oh, yeah. Like every show. The Five, Jesse Waters.
What do you think of Fox News?
That's the only news I watch. I've seen the CNN, I've seen some of the others, and they're so biased, it really pisses me off.
Do you think Fox is biased?
To a point.
And here's the danger. If you don't diversify your news sources, you're basically locking yourself in an echo chamber. You never get the full story about bills being passed or policies being considered. And when you're only running on half the facts, you set yourself up for exactly what we cover on this channel. One big FAFO situation.
My problem is that these people, these MAGA voters, they vote for like billionaires, and there is this worship and idolatry of it, and it makes them feel empowered to vote against their own interests. And it's a really interesting case study.
In California's District 22, a rural community in the state's Central Valley. This district voted for Trump for the first time in 2024, but now his policies threaten one of the benefits people here rely on the most.
It bothers me when people like Elon Musk say that people on those programs are the parasite class. It's just cruel.
Do you know anyone personally who voted for President Trump but depends on benefits like Medicaid?
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people.
Trump promised a lot of things. I thought it would be more family values and those programs that we really need here.
One of those promises was to protect Medicaid. which 67% of people in this district rely on. It's the largest percentage of any district in the entire country.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, we're not going to touch it.
But his administration just proposed an $880 billion cut to Medicaid over the next 10 years. So we wanted to come here to find out how people are feeling about Trump and his administration's decision that could have a huge impact on one of the benefits they rely on the most.
We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. In a few moments, I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education once and for all. Smart people don't like me, you know, and they don't like what we talk about.
I've just shared clips of voters themselves highlighting how they've suffered under the very policies this bill put in place. You heard it straight from them. People realizing those promises about tips and overtime didn't stretch as far as they thought. And then when you line that up with Trump's infamous line, "I love the uneducated," it all starts to make sense, doesn't it? Because if you're not looking at all the facts, if you're not questioning what's being sold to you, you're exactly the kind of voter politicians can bank on. Not because they're helping you win, but because they know you won't notice when you lose. That's the real takeaway here. When you celebrate before reading the fine print, you're not just setting yourself up for disappointment. You're handing the keys of your future to people who already told you out loud they don't have your best interest at heart. And that, my friends, is why we break it down here. Not just to laugh at the irony, but to remind ourselves how dangerous it is when hate and hype take the wheel instead of facts and critical thinking. And that's where we'll wrap this one up. If nothing else, I hope today's breakdown shows why it pays to slow down, ask questions, and read past the headlines. Because bills like this aren't just words on paper. They shape lives, wallets, and futures. To my amazing subscribers, you already know I see your comments, I read them, and they honestly keep me going. Even if I can't respond to each one, trust me, they're the fuel for this channel. And to the new folks who just joined us, welcome to the family. If this video gave you something to think about, or maybe just made the chaos make a little more sense, do me a favor, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. As for me, I think it's time for cup number 3 of coffee, strictly for decompression purposes. Because, let's be real, breaking down MAGA's version of economic strategy is enough to send anyone reaching for the French press. I'm Glenn, this is Think Out Loud, and I'll see you in the next one.